James, how I guess the simplest way of asking is how real do you think this defense we saw this preseason was?
Um, yeah, it has to be tested. Like, it's one thing to do it against, like, I don't even know what that trash was the Lakers put out there in the last half.
Mm.
It's one thing to show defense against, six guys that you're surprised even made a preseason roster. Um, and I would say the same thing. Like, I got that vibe from Portland a couple of times where you're like, holy cow, is this when we go deep here? Like, like, well, let's just be honest. The Kings spent money to make sure that their 20-man roster was solid all the way to number 20, and not a lot of these other teams did, and it showed. It showed a lot. So like how it's we have to see it can't just be 5 games. It's got to be 65, 70 games out of the 82 where they kind of set themselves up and rely on their defense as much as they do their offense. And I know Harrison Barnes talked about this, just about how like we have to make sure that there's a base to fall back on. That when things go wrong and when shots aren't falling, that we can rely on our defense to get us through. If we got to eke out a 1 or 2 point or a 3 point win, because we play defense, not because we hit 23s, that's great. And then I think I'll point this out too. Like Kenny asked about it earlier about, or you mentioned it earlier about not having Herter, not having Keegan Murray in the preseason game against the Lakers. Like they hit 23s without Herter and Murray. And I mean, you can basically just write in pen like 6 threes a game from those guys combined, like a minimum, I would think. And that's huge. If you can go into a game and just everyone's moving the ball, everyone's engaged, like good offense is going to make for a much better defense. And so I do think that there are a lot of things to like about what we're seeing so far. They're a much better rebounding team, like what we talked about. Like all these things tie in together. And so, do I think that they're going to be a lockdown defensive team? No. But if you're better in every single one of the other aspects of the game, if your offense is more efficient, if you're a better rebounding team, then it just gives you a chance on the other end. And I don't think that they've given themselves a chance for a few years.
So it's interesting you say that, James, because like I'm with you, right, with the 3 point shooting. And I've thrown out the number like, yeah, I don't think they'll shoot make 20 a night, but if they made 15 to 17, that I could see them being around that range. Well, somebody in the chat, they brought it up and they said the league leader last year was 14 a night, making 14 a night. It was Minnesota Timberwolves. So 15 to 17 would be way past.
Outlandish.
Yeah. So, but I mean, is it conceivable, in your opinion, that this could be one of the top 3 point teams in the league this year, as far as like made threes a night? Like, obviously, it would be 15, but I mean, 13 to 15 a night made?
Yeah, I think it's totally possible. This team is built to do that. I mean, really, they are. And it's not just that you have the shooters. That's one thing. That's one part of it. You have an elite guard at breaking down the defense who feeds shooters, and you have an elite passing big man. So I'll even point this out. Like, was it Friday night? That's the last preseason game, right? We had this weird malfunction where the NBA stats didn't work at all. It was horribly frustrating. But we had tallied in the first half, and I knew that there were 10 threes hit in the first half. So in the second half, we started tallying, and I started going through them in my head. I remember Davion hit 2. I remember Trey Lyles. Davion hit 2, I think, to near the end of the third. Trey Lyles hit 2. And then I remember Keon Ellis hitting 3. And then I remember Sam Merrill hitting 1. And then there was, Dellavedova hit 1. So I'm like, okay, I'm at 19 threes without even, like, I know there had to have been more. And I wasn't even paying attention really for the first like 5 or 6 minutes to that stat to see if any of the starters had hit any. So anyway, like when I opened up the box score this morning, because it is there now. They went back and redid the stats for the whole for that Friday night game. I was shocked. I didn't know that De'Aaron Fox had 21 points, and it was like an effortless 21 points. Sabonis, I think 10 points, 9 assists, 12 rebounds.
Yep.
Like absolutely stunning that guy in a preseason game without two of his best shooters had 9 assists. So these are stats where you're starting to look at the 3-point shooting and I'll even say the rebounding. I think they can be an elite 3-point shooting team, and I think they can be an elite rebounding team. And if you can do those two things, this team has a shot. They have a shot to be like really good. Not like 1, 2, 3 seed good, but they've got a shot to be like a team that shocks everybody if you can do those two things. And I think the biggest thing is that Mike Brown is coming from a Warriors system where we're seeing this very distinct style of offense, right? All the way through camp, we're seeing this motion offense where they're starting to learn the wrinkles of this motion offense. And then I'm pretty sure in the last 2 practices, they've installed a bunch of other play sets that they hadn't had before. But the goal was to get through preseason working on this new style, get this new style ingrained in your head. And now we're going to give you like 5 or 6 different pick and roll variations with different 2-man tandems that you can use, or they're going to give them something other than what we've already seen. And that's where I think this thing can really take off, when we start like the basic flow of the offense and how everybody's moving, everybody's cutting, the cuts are hard, everyone's on top of everybody, everyone can bring the ball up the court. Like we start piecing all these things together, and I think they can be a like shockingly intriguing team this season.
Trey Lyles has a pretty certified spot in this rotation, doesn't he?
I don't know.
Let me be a better journalist. Does Trey Lyles have a certified spot? Does he have a certified spot in this rotation?
I thought you were going to hit me with a 2-part.
No, I never do that. His role in the preseason was just so weird. Like he had the second half where he started, and I think he started a game. The first one Keegan missed, and it was like he played really well Friday, but and I don't mean this not to disparage. Trey Lyles played really well. Everybody played really well on Friday, and he's one that I just haven't really been able to. I don't know what Mike wants from him.
Let's just start at the beginning, because we did this early on. We know right now Fox, Davion Mitchell, Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter all have a role. We know that Harrison Barnes has a role. We know that Sabonis and Rashawn Holmes are in the rotation. We know that Keegan Murray's in the rotation. 8 players.
We're sure about Rashawn.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pretty sure.
I'm just asking questions.
No, it's okay. It's okay. So we're at 8. We're at 8. Now, we haven't said KZ Okpala's name, right? So now we're at 9. We haven't said Terrence Davis. We haven't said Chuma Moneke. We're talking about Trey Lyles. So, like, look, this is going to be an 8.5, 9.5 man, 9.5, maybe 10-man rotation, but I don't buy a 10-man rotation. Like, it's going to be tight. So I think Trey Lyles deserves a shot. But, if Keegan Murray's healthy, what does that mean for Trey Lyles? And that's a problem. And if Kevin Huerter's healthy, like, he's going to play 30 minutes a night. Malik Monk's going to play 24 minutes a night. I think we've already seen Davion Mitchell might not play 20 minutes a night, at least early.
Wow.
We've already seen it, right? Like in preseason, we've already seen it, that he's in there for a few minutes and then it's right back to Fox. So if he's Fox's backup, just like if Rashawn Holmes is Sabonis' backup, if they're not mixing and matching those guys with their counterpart, with their starter, then those guys are 14 to 16 minutes a night. Not even that.
Yeah.
12 to 14 minutes tops. And that's tough. So where are you going to find extra minutes? And that's where like Mike Brown is up against it, because he just found a bunch of minutes with KZ Okpala. And at the end of the day, if the thing happens that happened last year with this team, where everyone was confused as to why Mo Harkless was playing, and then we got to like his 30th start and the Kings were like 15-15 in games that he started, And for a team that's like 12 games under 500, how is that possible? I think we're going to have to see, like, Mike Brown is going to play the numbers. If KZ Okpala, if they're winning, or if they're plus minus when KZ Okpala is off the charts, he's going to keep playing. And so that other door might not open for someone else. It's interesting.
I feel like my man TD's in a really tough spot.
I agree. And the crazy thing about it with him, and tell me if you feel differently. I maybe I'm wrong on this one, but I feel like in the preseason he's played fine. He's had ups and downs for sure. That's the type of player he is. But you think about Friday night, like he was running a point a little bit out there, and I thought he was fine. He went in 14 points, 5 of 10 from the field. I thought he was active defensively. Yeah, he's in a tough spot, and it's not even like he's played his way into that spot, right? It's just the nature of the beast, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll even take it this way. Like, there's a possibility he's the opening night starter. If Herter can't go.
So that was you brought that up with Mike Brown. That's interesting.
I did. Like I said, what does it mean? Are you going to leave Malik Monk with the second unit, or are you going to put him with the starters? And I mean, because of the Fox and Monk connection, I think that there's a higher likelihood that he just puts Monk in the starting lineup. And also, I think because Terrence Davis and Malik Monk, in a lot of instances, are like they're interchangeable. Like they really are very similar style of player. And so, like, look, I think there's a good chance that Terrence Davis could be an opening night starter or a rotational player on opening night and then not play for a while. Like, we just don't know. It depends on Herter's health, number one. And then it really does depend on, Keegan Murray, how long it takes him to get out. And then from one night to the next, like I know Brendan at practice today had asked Mike Brown about like sort of this idea that he was going to switch out his power forwards all the time. And he said, you know what, let's hold off and wait and see what I do. Like, give me like 5 or 10 games to see if I actually do switch out guys or not, because I might not. And so that was like pretty telling.
Brandon again, pissing everybody off with his questions.
Getting everyone angry.
Nunez.
I could see Mike like every day showing up to the game. Well, you see that? I didn't switch out the power forward spot, Brandon Nunez. Yeah, so I think it's interesting. Like, they've got a lot of like intriguing things that they can do. It's a puzzle, and Mike Brown is going to be trying to figure out how all the pieces fit together for a while. That's just the nature of the beast, especially as a new coach with a team. But like, the one good thing about him is that he has the experience. 31 years in the league. This is his 9th season as a head coach. Like, he can see these things. He knows what like the possibilities are, where that's what I'll keep coming back to the fact that I don't think Chauncey Billups and, certainly Darvin Ham, this is his first time running his own show. Yeah. Like, they don't have the experience to understand when it's going. And I'll even say this, I don't like either of their rosters. No. I don't. Like, I don't love either of their rosters. And, like, he doesn't have that versatility that we talked about earlier about, if you're not getting enough of something, Mike Brown's got something different on his bench he can throw at you. Mm-hmm. And kind of like he knows what he has. And then I brought this up to Fox today. Like, we talked about this the other day on the radio, how like his rookie season, he was one of 5 rookies on the roster. And then they also had drafted 3 rookies a year before in Papianis, Malachi Richardson, and Scala Bicier. And then they had traded for Buddy during the season as a rookie. So they had, in his first season, they had 9 first and second year players. Mm. That's crazy. Like, there's no way to win when nobody knows who they are and what they are in the league. That's just not the case with this year's roster. You don't have to look around the room and think, I don't know what that guy's supposed to do, or he doesn't know who he's going to be yet. Like, even the guys that you're bringing in, like Achima Moneke, he's 26 years old. That dude knows exactly what his job is. Go in there and mess with LeBron and then try to, like, catch a body. Go in there and, like, catch a body on a rebound, catch a body, like, hammering a ball down. Go in there and fight and give us energy. Like, KZ Okpala, go in there and play defense, shut down the best player they have. Okay, I got it. But then go around the regular rotation. Like Davion Mitchell knows what his role is. It's to stop everybody. It's to do some inline drives. It's to hit wide open shots. Kevin Herter, same thing,
But see, that's kind of what I was talking to Damien about, and he agreed. We were in agreement with this. Is they have guys that are focused and understand being a star in your role, and that's we were talking about KZ Okpala and Monecki, and why they're possibly valuable on this team, and what Mike Brown has preached to this guy. The coaching staff has preached to these guys. Monty McNair brought them in, and then buying in. Man, KZ, Monecki, you guys might have 3 shot attempts combined in a game, but you're still able to impact the game. You're still able to go out there and be the best defender you be, get a couple offensive rebounds, help defense, things of that nature. And not only do that, but be okay with it. So many guys, they may do it begrudgingly, or they just won't do it at all. These guys, they understand being a star in your role, and I think that's going to bode well for this team in a major way.
Yeah, but I'll add this. I think I can say the same thing about Davion. I can say the same thing about Malik Monk. I can say the same thing about Kevin Herter. I can say the same thing about Harrison Barnes. Even Rashawn Holmes. Rashawn Holmes knows play hard defense, roll to the rim hard, rebound. He knows what his role is. And so I think this is one of the first times I've seen where you do have so many defined roles. I mean, Trey Lyles, when he walks on the floor, he's not out there looking for 20. He knows exactly who and what he's supposed to be. If he's open, he shoots it. If he can, he's got to go get the rebound. He's got to stay in front of his man. Like, there are very specific things these guys know they have to do. And so, like, look, I really do think it's that Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox did a really nice job of putting together like a pretty stable roster for Mike Brown to work with. I still think that, they need more talent. That's just, it is what it is, like if you could add like an all-star talent at name that position, it still would help this team, like take them from, again, from that like 6 to 11 range to maybe a 4 to 8 range where you're solidifying yourself. But I still like the direction that they're going.